On June 27, 2024, a large group of depositors gathered in front of Jiangxi Bank, protesting because they couldn't withdraw their money. They were shouting, "Give us our money back." The authorities sent police to arrest some of the protesters. On July 4th, the local Financial Regulatory Bureau in Nanchang, Jiangxi, issued a notice stating that a small number of people gathered in front of Jiangxi Bank's headquarters and that false information was posted online. The notice also mentioned that these actions disrupted the order of financial institutions and warned that those involved would face severe legal consequences. According to Chinese media reports, this situation is related to Nanchang Private Financing Registration Service Center Company Limited, also known as the Nanchang Mingrongdeng Center. A reporter from Cailian News posed as a customer and contacted the local Financial Regulatory Bureau in Nanchang to verify the connection. The bureau responded that Jiangxi Bank had no relation to the Nanchang Mingrongdeng Center, other than being the bank where the company had its account. Chinese media had reported on June 1st that the Nanchang Mingrongdeng Center, which had been in operation for 9 years, suddenly shut down in May of this year. The investment products it recommended suffered widespread defaults, leaving many investors unable to recover their principal or the interest they were owed. It's noted that the Nanchang Mingrongdeng Center had received official approval to operate. In October 2014, the Jiangxi Provincial Financial Office issued a document titled Guidelines for the Pilot Work of Private Financing Registration Service Institutions. The document indicated that the center's approved scope of business included registering and publishing information on private capital supply and demand, matching private capital supply and demand, and registering private financing loan contracts. Reports indicate that the products offered by the Nanchang Mingrongdeng Center affected over 2,200 investors, involving a total amount of several billion yuan. The majority of these clients were local residents of Nanchang, primarily between the ages of 60 and 90, with many investing between 1 to 2 million yuan. On May 30th, Chinese media reached out to the Mingrongdeng Center and the Nanchang Financial Office to inquire about the defaults on the center's products. The response was that the financial office and other government departments had already begun an investigation, but the specific details would require further investigation. Nanchang Mingrongdeng Center is not the first private financing registration service to encounter such risks. In May 2023, the Private Financing Registration Service Center Company Limited in Yingtan County, Jiangxi District, suddenly ceased operations, leaving many residents struggling to recover their loans. According to a report by Jiangnan Metropolitan Network, the center had operated beyond its approved scope, attracting funds from an unspecified group of people, creating a fund pool, and using covert methods to evade supervision and illegally absorb public deposits. These actions are suspected of constituting the crime of illegal public deposit taking. As of November 15, 2022, the center still owed 352 million yuan in principal from contracts involving 1,113 units and individuals. A local financial research expert told the Economic Observer that Mingrongdeng centers, which translate as People's Financial Registration Centers, serve as intermediary institutions that match capital suppliers with those in need of funds. These centers are approved by local financial regulatory authorities but lack unified oversight by a single regulatory body. There is a disconnect between local and central financial regulation, leading to inconsistent standards and some disorder within these centers. The expert believes that local financial regulatory authorities should take on more responsibility for supervision during the approval process to reduce the risks associated with these intermediary institutions. There's a saying circulating on the Chinese internet: the poor get harvested by P2P and the stock market, the middle class by real estate, and the wealthy by trust and private equity. No matter who you are, there's always a sickle ready to reap you. In China, even the wealthiest aren't immune from being harvested. In recent years, the trust market has experienced multiple incidents of financial collapse, and each time a trust goes bankrupt, the ones most affected are often millionaires and billionaires. On August 15th, Chinese media reported that 3 funds managed by Zhejiang Yuce Investment had disclosed in their financial reports that 1.25 billion yuan in deposits stored at Chang'an Bank had almost entirely disappeared. By July 2024, the balance in the bank account had dwindled to just 36,000 yuan, and the fund manager had suspended all redemption and subscription services. This situation shocked not only the investors in the Youce investment fund products, but also the broader financial community in China. It was revealed that over the course of 4 to 5 years, since 2019, a mysterious hand had quietly siphoned off the funds from this bank account. Astonishingly, the current legal representative of Youce Investment, the custodian brokerage, and the investors were all completely unaware of this. On July 10th, Youce Investment issued a notice about significant operational matters concerning some of its funds, suspending the redemption and subscription processes for these funds. They also mentioned coordinating with the police and the headquarters of Chang'an Bank. Subsequently, Youce Investment's legal team sent a letter to Chang'an Bank stating that the total amount of lost deposits was 1.32 billion yuan. A report by Daily Economic News uncovered that the loss of the 1.25 billion yuan in private equity funds occurred because someone had signed a supplemental agreement to enable online banking for deposit products, which was not allowed by the original contract. Through this unauthorized online banking, 3 companies, Baoji Phoenix, Ridge Equity Investment Company Management Limited, Xi'an Changrong Investment Management Company Limited, and Baoji Yuanda Asset Management Company Limited, transferred the funds from the Chang'an Bank account. The report highlighted that, starting from March 2019, fund investment accounts would transfer money into the deposit account each month, sometimes within 4 days, other times within a week. In most cases, the funds were transferred to these 3 companies on the very day they were deposited into the account, a practice that continued for 4 to 5 years. An expert from a major state-owned bank, interviewed by Daily Economic News, explained that a supplemental agreement is meant to add to the main contract and cannot operate independently or contradict the main contract. The main contract clearly stipulated that funds could not be transferred specifically to regulate the use of the 1.3 billion yuan. In essence, the account was designated as a fund supervision account. So, when the bank transferred funds out after the contract was signed, it violated the principle of specialized fund use, which was the original intention of both parties when the contract was signed. The expert further stated that as long as the contract specified that the account could not transfer funds freely, the bank could not absolve itself of responsibility, even if prevented with a check. Netizens commented, "This isn't just a financial collapse, it's straight-up financial fraud, isn't it? There must be an insider at the bank, right? There's no way this could have happened without some level of cooperation. I can't believe this didn't involve an insider. With 1.25 billion yuan, someone could live it up abroad for a lifetime. How did no one notice such a large amount being transferred? I can't even transfer a few thousand without hitting limits. This is a management issue. No one should be allowed to withdraw private equity funds except for the investors redeeming them. Otherwise, who would have confidence to invest?" This April, China saw several major financial collapses, one of which was the official bankruptcy of Sichuan Trust. Typically, when a trust company issues an investment project, they design a trust product around it and set an expected return, usually above 5%, and sometimes even over 10%. If you purchase this product, you give your money to the trust company, which then invests it in the project. If the project makes money, you'll earn a return. If the project loses money, theoretically, you would lose money as well. However, not everyone can buy trust products. They usually have a high investment threshold, with 1 million yuan being the norm. So only those who can afford to put down at least 1 million yuan are suited for these products. In the past, trust products were considered low risk because trust companies wouldn't let you lose money. Even if a project lost money, they would still pay out returns. They guaranteed these returns by using profits from other trust products to cover losses. If that wasn't enough, they would issue new trust products to create a larger fund pool, using the new funds to cover previous losses. This was essentially a continuous process of borrowing new money to pay off old. But around 2014 and 2015, the CCP's national regulatory bodies required trust companies to break its rigid payout structure, meaning they could no longer maintain these fund pools. As a result, risks associated with some trust products began to surface. The collapse of Sichuan Trust is a prime example. Sichuan Trust had long engaged in practices of using new funds to pay off old ones, and their internal risk control had completely failed, with significant management loopholes. By 2019, Sichuan Trust's non-performing asset rate for its proprietary assets had reached a staggering 22%. On top of that, some shareholders had even misappropriated certain fixed loans and trust assets. Another significant event was the announcement by Hehe that it was insolvent. On April 9th, Hehe's official website released a statement saying that since the company and related enterprises began experiencing difficulties in fulfilling payments upon maturity, a series of remedial measures have been taken, but the results have not met expectations. On April 10th, the Yangpu branch of the Shanghai Public Security Bureau issued a notice stating that an investigation had been launched into the Hehe system companies for suspected illegal fundraising activities. Several criminal suspects have been subjected to legal measures. It is reported that the outstanding funds at Hehe may exceed 4.5 billion yuan. There are reports that the company's actual controller and his entire family have emigrated to Singapore, and funds have been transferred abroad through underground banks. Shanghai Hehe is an asset management company with a registered capital of 1 billion yuan. Its business includes equity investments, private equity investments, and bill investments. According to Chinese media reports, the issues with Hehe's products started surfacing after September last year, when the company's actual controller, chairman, and CEO, Nanchang, was reported missing. By that time, he had already absconded with several billion yuan, transferring all the wealth overseas. It was reported that on the evening of August 25th last year, Lin Chang, after a gathering with top executives of the Hehe system in Hong Kong, vanished into the Hong Kong night. After leaving Hong Kong, Lin began planning his family's move to Singapore and accelerated the transfer of funds abroad through underground banks. According to insiders, a month before Lin went missing, his wife and children had already traveled to Singapore under the guise of tourism. A week after Lin's disappearance, his parents also moved to Singapore. Following Lin's escape, Hehe practically collapsed, with repayments slowing to a crawl. With the founder fleeing with the money, the asset management company had no choice but to let things fall apart. In April, several trust plans under Ping An Trust also faced delays. The article on Sohu describes a major event in the financial sector, specifically the troubles at Ping An Trust. While the company itself remains operational and is conducting business as usual, some of its products have encountered significant issues. The article highlights the gravity of the situation by noting that Ping An Trust is no ordinary institution. In 2023, Ping An Trust ranked first in operating income and second in total profits within the trust industry. The severity of this problem is comparable to the Evergrande crisis and may even signal the beginning of a broader collapse in the trust industry. The troubled trust plans are tied to the currently struggling real estate sector. According to Ping An Trust, the difficulties arise from the sluggish real estate market, with project developer Nanchang China facing operational pressures. Additionally, sales funds are required to be deposited into regulatory accounts, leading to a lack of cash recovery for the trust plan as of the announcement date. However, Ping An Trust emphasized that the delays in payments are due to temporary liquidity constraints. The article concludes by pointing out that trust investments typically start at a minimum of 1 million yuan, meaning the investors involved are generally well off. The fact that these financial products could collapse just 5 months after their creation has shaken the market's perception of such financial institutions. The article suggests that regulatory oversight of financial institutions cannot be too stringent. Over the next few years, the public needs to be particularly cautious when dealing with financial products related to real estate, as safeguarding one's financial assets is of utmost importance. The article also delves into why scammers succeed, questioning why seemingly intelligent individuals with high educational backgrounds and solid credentials can still fall victim to fraud. It notes that people who believe they are immune to scams are actually more susceptible, regardless of their profession or education level. Even lawyers, PhDs, and psychologists can be duped. Fraud is more complex than most people realize. Scammers are experts at exploiting their victim psychology. Many victims of the P2P, peer-to-peer lending scams from years ago were taken advantage of a second time. For example, someone named Wang invested 110 yuan in the P2P platform Piao Piao Miao in 2018 and earned 30,000 yuan in profit, which she reinvested. However, the platform later collapsed and she was unable to recover her principal. Although the P2P platform was investigated, there were no official rulings or updates on repayment, so she gradually forgot about this painful experience. In January 2022, while pregnant, Wang encountered a new P2P scam. She received an email claiming that the P2P institution had exited the business and was offering compensation to users through an official QQ group. After joining the group, someone claiming to be a customer service representative told her she needed to deposit funds to unfreeze her account's principal. After making the deposit, she was then told she needed to pay taxes. Wang said, "For a moment, I thought it might be a scam, but I didn't search online for confirmation. Seeing others in the group supposedly receive their payouts made me give in." Despite growing suspicions, she eventually realized something was wrong, but had already transferred 220,000 yuan to the so-called customer service representative. Even after she reported the scam to the police the next day, the scammers continued to pressure her to pay the unfreezing fee. In frustration, she cursed the scammers and left the QQ group. The scam itself was straightforward. The fraudsters impersonated customer service reps from collapsed P2P platforms and contacted victims, offering to help them recover their funds. They lured victims into adding QQ or WeChat contacts, sent fake official documents, and then tricked them into transferring money under various pretexts such as taxes, activation fees, or other charges. For P2P victims desperately trying to recover their money, these scams often represent their last hope. One such victim was Ms. Zheng from Yueqing City, who also fell prey to this type of scam. Ms. Zheng received a friend request on WeChat from someone claiming to be a customer service rep for a certain P2P platform. The person offered to help her with a full refund. Overjoyed, Ms. Zheng eagerly accepted the offer, as she had previously invested in that platform and had been waiting for a payout ever since the platform went bust. She quickly applied to join the QQ group for refunds that the representative mentioned. Once inside, the group was buzzing with activity. With constant messages about successful refunds, Ms. Zheng privately messaged several members in the group, all of whom sent screenshots as proof that they had received their refunds. Everyone's getting their refunds, so it must be legitimate, Ms. Zheng thought. She immediately contacted the customer service representative in the group to process her refund. Despite being asked to pay various fees up front, like taxes and hedging charges, she didn't question it and made 6 transfers into the bank account provided by the representative. It wasn't until she didn't receive her refund that she realized that she'd been scammed, losing more than 160,000 yuan. She said, "Later, I found out that the so-called customer service and other members in the group were all scammers. They staged the whole thing to trick me." An article in Chinese media pointed out that behind many financial scams, including fraudulent investment schemes, there often lurks a fake financial institution. For investors, once they fall for such scams, their only recourse is legal action, but the road to justice is long and difficult. How much of their principal can be recovered and how much time it will take remains uncertain. To avoid falling into such traps, investors must be vigilant and thoroughly research before making any investments.